Marina from Martina Physio, and we're working here on some early stage rehab for our shoulder. And we look in today to introduce some isometric exercises. So we'll do a couple of different movements. So we'll do shoulder flexion, shoulder abduction, shoulder external rotation, internal rotation, and we'll do it in different ways so that you can find what's most comfortable for you, and you can try all of them options and see what's best. Hi guys, Paulina here, and we're working on some shoulder early stage rehab. So we introduce isometric contraction today. What's isometric contraction? So it just means a static contraction when there is no lengthening or shortening of the muscle. We're just working or activating the muscle and there is no movement occurring. So it may be pushing against the static object. So for example, be me pushing against my other hand. So I'm activating my muscles, I'm working quite hard for here. And also working the muscles of the other hand, trying to apply the pressure and don't let the movement happen. And that way we just gently introducing some loading for this muscle tissue here. So this is exactly what we're going to do today. Now we're going to start with working on some rotational movements. So we'll work on internal and external rotation. So internal rotation is when you come from this position here and you rotate your shoulder in, like that, okay? Or external rotation is when you open up and rotate your shoulder out, okay? For both of those, we'd want our elbows tucked in closely. If you struggle to hold this position here, I'd say grab a blanket, towel, anything like that you've got, maybe a little small cushion, try and put it in underneath your elbow and position yourself nice and comfortably here. We'll start with internal rotation. So imagine that my right hand is the one I'm working on first. We obviously want to do the exercise on both sides, and my left hand is what's going to assist it at the beginning, okay? So obviously the left hand is also going to do some work, trying to provide resistance against, but let's say we focus on the right hand because these are the movements that we'll try and reinforce today. So we will start with internal rotation, so trying to recreate this movement but without actually moving. So as you can imagine, my right hand will be trying to push in and across against my left hand. So this hand is just trying to provide the resistance, this hand I'm trying to do this movement here, okay? So my internal rotation, I'm going to hold for 6 seconds, try and make sure that I'm pushing quite hard all the way through, and after 6 seconds I'm going to relax, okay? And I'll repeat it 6 times for the same movement. So I'm going to push in for 6 seconds, 2, 1, and relax. And so before, I'll repeat it 6 times, but we'll just move on to the external rotation so that you know what your exercise is with. And the only difference between internal rotation, so if I was pushing into my wrist like this with the palm of my hand, now I'm actually going to take or grip my fingers in and around the outside of this right arm, and I'm going to try and create external rotation, so opening up to this side, and again I'm going to use my left arm to provide the support, and you can push as hard or as little as you can or as pain allows you, okay, but it should be quite hard work to hold this contraction for 6 seconds. 2, 1, and then relax. And again I'll do the same for this movement, so I'll repeat it for 6 seconds, and I'll do just one more demo for you. So hand on top of the wrist and you're pushing away with your right arm, pushing as strong as you can for 6 seconds, 2, 1, and relax. Okay, now we're going to move on to flexion and abduction, and again you can do these movements in this position here. So it can be that your thumb is pointing up to the ceiling. Now your left arm is the one that's going to provide the resistance. What you're trying to do with your right arm is just go up here in front, okay? What I don't want you to do is have this rounded up shoulders posture when you do it. So I want you to open up with your chest, squeeze your shoulder blades together, and then push up for 6 seconds, okay? And again, you can apply this resistance, hit 1, and then relax. And we'll repeat it again, squeeze your shoulder blades together, hand up in front, push up, and my left arm just doesn't let my right arm to get through. 2, 1, and relax. Okay, the last movement we're going to do is abduction, so it's a bit more difficult to try and get around and stop it without losing the good controlling position. So I would say you can do it either against the table, or you use a towel or a blanket just to put it under your hand and have a table on your sides, you can imagine, and push up towards it, or you can do it against the wall. So if you do it against the wall, again, you want something soft just to have on the surface of the wall, and just so that you're not pushing your knuckles into it, okay? So you want to just make it a bit more comfortable. Now, my thumb is pointing up towards the wall, so I'm going to get out of this internal rotation, external rotate the shoulder, my thumb pointing up to the ceiling, and I'm going to have it in this position here, okay? So that I can push into my towel and into the wall. And I'm going to start nice and close against the wall, and I'm going to push in for 6 seconds. Good. 2, 1, and I'll relax. So again, you can stay in this position, but just stop pushing, okay? And again, same position, so I'm starting this position here, pushing against my towel, nice and strong for 6 seconds, at the same time squeezing my shoulder blades together. 3, 2, 1, and relax, okay? So for all of these movements, so for our, just trying for the towel, so for our internal rotation, where we push our wrist into the crease of our palm here, 6 seconds, 6 times. Then we transition to external rotation, where we grab a hold of our wrist, and we try and push outside like this with our right arm without moving. So then we transition to do a flexion, so thumb pointing up to the ceiling, open up your shoulder blades, push up. And then our last one is abduction, where you use the wall or table, and we've got our fingers in this position. So again, I don't want to be here. I don't have my finger or my thumb pointing it towards my leg. I want it to open up to the sky. And in that position here, I'm pushing into the wall. Okay, so 4 different movements of the shoulder. We're trying to do an isometric contraction of 6 seconds for all 4 of them, and we'll repeat it 6 times, and we'll start with 2 to 3 sets, so you can split it to do it 2 to 3 times a day at the beginning. If you're feeling absolutely fine completing the exercises and there is no reaction, what you can do is you can increase the number of repetitions. So from 6, it can build up to 8, can build up to 10, can build up to 12, and from there on we'll be able to progress to different type of loading.